Jesus every day, to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
In today's complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com. Okay. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, I am joined by the incredible Alicia Ault. She is a credit expert at Level Up Score. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us today. And today, we get to learn a little bit of wisdom that you have learned, how you're applying it, and then, of course, something you'd like to share with the audience. So to kick us off, please share with us, what is a piece of advice or something you've learned from others that has really sat with you, that has been applied to the rest of your life?
Awesome. So I have to say, it is from my YouTube mentor, Jim Rohn. I say YouTube mentor because I've never met him. Okay. But I go to the gym every morning. And one of the things I do, because I'm a multitasker, I can multitask all the time. I multitask and I listen to motivational speakers or influential people in the entrepreneurial world that can give me bits of advice. And Jim Rohn is always saying that you don't pursue success, but you attract it by the person you become. Another way that he says it that I like is, if you're given $1 million, best you become a millionaire so you get to keep the money, right? And so this philosophy of just being this person that would have this thing, right? And so I'm constantly looking at how do I improve my person, how to improve my working skills, my hard and soft skills. It's a big part of my life, but Alex Hormozi says it in a different way, which I really love too. And it's basically like, he doesn't look at the end goal, but looks at doing the things every single day that get you to the end goal. And that's really helped me in my pursuit of like my personal body weight and body image, is not really looking at, oh, here's the scale, but looking at what are the things I need to do to have a healthy body and do those every day.
Well, number one, Alicia, I had no idea why I immediately connected to you, but now that we're having this conversation, boy, oh boy, are we kindred spirits.
Oh.
So number one, I do exactly the same thing in the morning, that I have a rotation of different people, and you named two that are part of my rotation right now, that depending on the day, I kind of float between different people depending on what I'm in the mood for, right? And I bet you and I have the same playlist that we're looking at. And, going back to Jim Rohn, one of the things he always speaks about is the biggest development that has to happen is us. All that investment has to start with us. It's not everyone else or what you're looking to do. It all starts with the work that we do, to that point of what you said, that if you're given $1 million, then you best become the millionaire to understand how to keep it and multiply it, right? Not just obtain it and spend it and it goes away, right? Mm-hmm. Which, we're in the mortgage business. I cannot even tell you how many times you hear of people that were so successful in the heyday, and then it's all gone when the times get tough. And you're like, where did it go? How did you possibly run through all of that you achieved when things were certainly great? And I kind of want to even go down that road, right? I want to travel down that road because it's very applicable, right?
Oh,
and it's funny, I've heard people right here on this podcast where I'll say, what's your one piece of advice? And people say, don't spend every dollar that you make because in our industry, it's up and down cycles and you have to plan accordingly. Yes, sometimes we're going to be at the high and sometimes we're going to be in that dry season and we have to be prepared for that. So I honestly want to even go a little bit down that road because I think that's an applicable topic of what has happened over the last couple of years. And it's not necessarily about financial. It could also be in our relationships. It can be in, you know as well as I do. When we're feeling good, like when you were speaking about body image and stuff, when we're feeling good, whether that's confidence of, man, everybody's saying yes to me. Everyone, I've got tons of clients. I'm knocking it out in the park. Then you go into that dry season. Maybe people are no longer saying yes. Maybe you're working 10 times as hard to get one yes, right? This is what we've been experiencing. And it's been tough. And there's been people that they've had to exit the industry or they've had to pivot, or maybe they're Uber driving and maybe they're, doing other things. And that is okay. We do what we need to do for our families. But from a consistency standpoint and investing in ourselves, I'd love to hear some things from you that, you obviously feed your brain with a lot of this. What do you think about all of that? And what's some advice that we can share?
I was just doing a mentoring thing a couple hours ago with a couple ladies, and the focus was do the things, right? So for instance, she was trying to get off her social media stuff and it didn't seem to be working. And I said, well, what do you think is not working? And she's like, I don't know. I have great social media. The person's great and blah, blah, blah. And I said, why don't we just keep doing the things? Because I think we think that it's going to be instantaneous results. And that's not what it is. Like even with, if we go back to the body weight thing, right? The body image, we can't go to the gym for a week and decide and find, we're where we want to be, right? It doesn't work that way. And nothing really does. It all takes work. But if we continuously just do the things, and in the mortgage industry, making the calls, continuously doing the things. One of my favorite books about sales is Go for No. Do you know that book?
I do know that book. Yes.
I love that. It's the philosophy of just keep doing the thing.
Keep going. Just keep doing it over and over and over again.
And the results will happen. You might have to do more of the thing for a temporary period of time, but how many of your competitors are not doing the thing? Because things are hard. So they think, because we're in this instantaneous world where it's like, okay, if things are getting hard, I'm going to switch. I'm going to move somewhere else and do something else because that's going to be easy rather than just continue to do the thing. And if they call it the dip, right? Yeah. I think it's Seth Godin,
Yep.
Godin.
It is.
Talked about the dip, right? He said most people, when they get to the dip, they stop and they're out.
They do.
But the successful people go through the dip, come back out the other side. They don't have any competition anymore because they're the only ones there, right?
So do you know the story about the bison?
Maybe no.
Wait. I have to reach for a moment. So excuse me as I reach.
Okay.
This is how much the story about the bison. Literally, people give me bisons. Okay, no joke. It's like a bison right across my desk. I'm gonna give the story. Okay. So the reason why I have bisons and why people give them to me, the bison is the only animal that goes towards a storm instead of turning away and running away from the storm. So when you look up the story of a bison, is that it's proven that when you go into the storm, it's actually a shorter period of time than if you run against it and then the storm catches up to you. So exactly like the dip, it's the same thing. Don't stop. Don't go into it. Like keep going deeper into it because the storm, yes, it's going to be thunder and lightning and dark and dreary and yes, but don't stop. Don't stop in the storm. Don't turn around and go back and have more of the storm. Keep going through the storm because it's a shorter distance to get through it than it is to either stop or turn back in fear and experience it for a longer period of time. So it's exactly what
I
you're
love
saying.
that. And the same thing, like when you turn around and you go through the storm, you also have a lot more resistance because you have somebody else that turned around.
That's right. Yeah, think about that, right?
Yeah, both ways. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm loving this conversation, and it's so funny. So everyone out there listening, okay, like I said, I didn't know I found my kindred spirits, but I need to set the stage. Alicia and I didn't know each other until one day in June when she attended the tag event in Atlanta. And for all of you that know me, you know that if I see someone that doesn't look like they're mingling enough, I go in and interject myself, and I kind of create a crowd so that, and I also have a rule that I don't want to speak to the same people I already know. I want to meet the people I don't know, and I want to get to know them. And I want to expand my network. She happened to be there. We got to having a conversation. And of course, after the event, followed up, had a conversation, gotten to know each other. That is getting through the storm, everyone. Listen to that, right? We all have our networks. We all have the people that have been around us for years and years and years. They're great. They're wonderful. We want to keep them strong. We have to also continue to expand that network. And we have to continue to add people to that network, all of us multiplying. We're multiplying when we do that. So it's part of the reason why I do this podcast. I do this podcast because I have to tell everyone I challenge myself to find new people to put on the podcast. It makes it so I'm held accountable, that I have to continue to find new people that I don't know every answer they're going to say. I didn't know what Alicia was going to say because we haven't spent that much time together. But now it turns out we're exactly on the same page and we're kindred spirit. I challenge everyone out there. This is part of business. This is how we continue to grow together. So now, next question. How do you take all of that different knowledge that you're getting, all of these resources, you're feeding your brain, you're living this? How are you applying that to your business and personal ventures?
You know, you might find this funny. I look for the gap. And I look for the
I
dip.
know that. Oh, I love that.
So if I see a dip coming, I'm like, let's do it, because on the other side of that dip, I have no competition. So the software that I created, which is called Level Up Score, I don't have competition in that industry, but I had to go through some major dips to come up with this software and to put it in motion. For instance, and this is going to segue into the next question that I know you're going to ask me, but I had to realize that I'm also not the only person that has to do everything. And there are people out there in the world that can help in all aspects of everything that I'm working on, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I know, especially when I was younger, that ego, I'm the best at it. No one's going to do it better than me. I don't need any help, you know? And that went from, you know, being a parent and a wife to my career, right? And then I was burned out because I had to do all things. And learning from that in my day-to-day life now is like, find that dip, go through it, but you don't have to go alone, and you can find different resources. And I think that goes hand in hand with what you just said, like networking and getting to know people, because you never know, that might be the person that's going to help you through that dip and get you onto the other side. You never know.
Yeah. And listen, we can't get through this world alone, right? I mean, that the expression of it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a village for all of us to get through this life. And listen, me and you could have many an hour conversation, as when I was a younger leader, I thought everything had to go through me. I thought no one could do it as well. I thought no one could do it as fast. I thought no one, if I didn't touch it, it wasn't, stamped with my approval. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm a terrible leader thinking that way. Now, I recognize that was my insecurity. Actually had nothing to do with the other people. Had nothing to do with the people that I was leading. That was my fear, that I was validating myself. I was validating that I had all this control and everything. Completely wrong. Now, lessons learned. Now, of course, I realize that's a complete mistake. And now I'm so much of a better leader and can teach others not to fall into that trap, right? So what you said, these are the lessons. That goes back to, again, that self-development of ourselves. I would have never thought that was about me. Oh, yes, that was about me. 100% my insecurity as a leader. So these are the things that we evolve, right? But if we don't continue to read and watch YouTube videos and speak to other people and be part of community and masterminds and all this other stuff, sometimes we're living in a vacuum and we don't even realize these things, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, powerful. Okay, wrap us up, my friend. What I'd like to hear now is, what is that one piece of advice that you would like to share with everyone listening today?
All right. So I just got this advice recently. I did a challenge, they called it the Q2 Rapid Transformation Challenge, and it was a 3-month process through the second quarter of the year. And the main focus was who, not how. And so the way that,
listen, you're blowing my mind now, because I am a big who, not how person.
Love it. Yes.
Go.
It was like pivotal for me, because again, the whole philosophy, I'm going to do everything, right? But I think it came from school, and the way that was presented to me is, if we think about when we were in elementary school, high school, college, whatever, it was always, how do I get this done? And you were relying on yourself as a person to get the job done, right? But it's the opposite of how the real world works. We should be looking at who. Like, if I'm not good at bookkeeping, I shouldn't be doing bookkeeping, right? Someone else should be doing bookkeeping for me. So I really took a look at my entire life, and I'm talking my personal life and my business life, and looking at who can be better than XYZ than I can be, or who can help me get to this level that I want to go to. And it was an amazing transformation for my business. And I'll make it very short, but in the Q2 challenge, I was hoping to get 100 users on my software. And I thought that was huge, because I was doing one individual call to different organizations, one by one by one. And, 100, that's a lot of calls, right? So I thought that, 3 months, I should be able to, do that. And my coach said, why don't you do more than that? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like 10 times that, 10 times that. 10,000, 1,000, 10,000, what are we looking at? So I changed it to 1,000. That mindset and thinking of the who, not the how, I realized there is organizations out there who are already selling to my market that I don't compete with, that I can partner with.
Oh, I love it.
And so from that 100 goal, it went to 1,000. As soon as I changed that mindset to 1,000, because I couldn't call 1,000 people like that. I mean, I could, but that's just, I'm not going to do anything else, right? So I had to think differently. And my next thought was what I said. And now I'm looking at 10,000 users. So I actually won part of there's Q2 challenge. You did a video thing about what your transformation was. And Dr. Benjamin Hardy's the one that put the thing together. I don't know if you know him. He's the one
I do.
Okay. So August 16th, I actually go and sit with him for a day, and
that's awesome.
By him personally. So it'll be a lot of fun in Orlando. But yeah, the who, not how concept has been big for me. And if you take that a little stretch further, is his new book that's coming out is called Rapid Transformation. And that was what the Q2 is all about. And the rapid transformation is all about thinking really big, like a really big.
Why do I think that book's out already? Isn't that book out?
It's in pre-sale. You can see it on Amazon and pre.
Because I'm going to say, I know that book already. Like, I'm familiar with that. Okay.
Yes. And this is his plug, but if you do really want that book, or if you know anybody that would, what I would recommend for your audience, like, he does have it on pre-sale, but the really cool thing about his pre-sale is he will give you a personalized lesson plan that goes along with it before you even get the book, about the stuff that I'm talking about today. And it's the same philosophy of that Q2 challenge that I went through. And I mean, it changed my life. Like, I'm thinking differently. I'm thinking higher, and who's not.
I have to tell you, I recently there is a book called Who, Not How. And yes, there's a book, and it's so funny that just a few weeks ago, someone posted on social media about this. And I was like, wow, what a great concept. And I went back into my Kindle library. I read this book years ago. It's actually not a new book. I think it was like 2016 or 17. And so I sat there and reread it, and literally my brain was about to explode. And I was like, how did I miss this? That this is something I learned, something I saw, but at that moment in time, it didn't click to me to where now it hit me like a freight train, to where now I'm like, every conversation I have with another leader, with someone I'm working with, where I'll say to them, you're looking at this as how, but you're not looking at it on the who. So I literally am challenging people, going, but who are the who's? Where's your who's? What are your who's? And people are like, oh, you're asking me that question again. But when they realize what the answer to that question is, they see it completely different, just like you did.
Yeah. And, like I said, if you really think of it, what opened it up for me was thinking of an impossible goal that I didn't think I could reach. And I couldn't by myself. There was no possibility. So I had to think of who. I was forced to think of who, because there's no way that I could do it myself if I was going to succeed the challenge that I was given. Right. And I think if we really start to think about those impossible goals, things that are a big stretch, not something that's a little stretch, but a big stretch, it causes you to think differently.
Yeah.
I love it. I love thinking who, not how, like who's going to wash my dishes.
Exactly, right? Not the how are we going to get the dishes done. No, I love that. For everyone listening out here, go back and re-listen to this. There are some major points in here, but the one I need to start with the first is, number one, you have a always learning mindset. You're out there feeding your brain, constantly learning, constantly being open to whatever it is that's coming to you. You're not second guessing it. You're not questioning it. You're not even making a decision of good or bad. You're just accepting it. And then if it's applicable in that situation, you make it applicable, or you discard it till a time when maybe it will be applicable. So that's the first thing, is that you're starting right there with the baseline of being open and continuing to feed your brain with other information, because not every voice is a voice that we need to listen to, right? Some voices resonate, other voices don't. That's okay. Just keep feeding different voices, whether it's reading, whether it's YouTube, whether it's audiobooks, whatever way. Maybe it's conversation like this, a podcast, right? But starting with that, and then where I want to end, you said it about having an impossible goal, an impossible dream. Guys, if nothing else, just from this conversation, and I pinch myself every time I have one of these, where I'm like, I am realizing that Alicia had to come into my life at this moment. For some reason, we were supposed to connect. I don't know what the reason is. We have no idea at this moment. But I'm telling you, there's no accident that we met at a certain point in time for some particular reason. And that's just how it works. Don't limit yourself. Don't close yourself off. Every dream you've ever wished you had, don't even question how that's going to happen. Just go through it being open. Think about your who's, and remember to enjoy every single day. Alicia, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, for being so amazing. And for those of you out there that don't know her, Alicia, how can they get to learn about you?
Oh, well, thank you. You can always look me up on the internet, Alicia Ault, you'll find me, but Level Up Score, Alicia at levelupscore.com is a great way to communicate with me. And I would love to get any feedback from this, and if you have any questions.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Be well.
Thank you.